Bartail has been one of the persons who's watched all the shows. I talk to him on a regular basis in the EverQuest Next IRC channel.
What we saw with, Kunark for EQ2, you did those 400 quests, you did all the content, and at the end of it, the world wasn't changed.
Yeah, I'm Phantom X. I do social media and write articles for EQ Nexus.
For the Fall of Bastion, there was a very definite, okay, this is where your story is going to fit into the world.
Listen, fluffy looking bear, thank you. Listen, I went and I killed a dragon, and then 2 drops of whiskey hit my face, and I willed this manly beard into... Cal was raising, yes!
Hello and welcome to the EverCast show, episode number 62, which we have titled, Why Can't We Be Friends? EverCast is an EverCast Next and Landmark podcast, connecting gamers with the game they play. I am one of your normal hosts, Tanlin. With me are Gladys and Lucy. Hi guys, how you doing?
I've been better.
I'm good. I got this cool straw that makes my mouth look like a dog.
Yeah, I feel you. I have also been better. It's been a hectic couple of days, a hectic week. I hope everything audio-wise is sounding pretty good. One of the things that we've tried to do is I use a directional mic because when Kylest and I are sitting in the same room and we're both talking, what'll happen is that you'll get an echo. If I don't have a directional mic, because my mic will pick up her talking and me talking, and it doesn't make a very good listening experience. Not that the last 2 shows were pretty good listening experiences, but I'm hoping that we're going to take next week. I'm not going to be here at all, and then the following week after that is the 4th of July. So in the meantime, I totally hijacked Kylest's mic, and so we're working things out.
Who's running the show again next week?
Flatus, guess what, man? You are the man in charge.
It's all gonna go to hell.
it's
Look. That nice foundation we built and that cool house we built that's called EverCast. It's gonna come down in one episode.
Just don't play with matches. Like, you do whatever you want in the house, but don't burn it to the ground.
You're leaving me with 2 lovely ladies,
What
and
I
you're
should
telling me
do,
to do whatever I
what
want in the house. This is wrong.
What I should do is I should turn the stove on and then walk away.
Walk away.
Yeah.
If anybody in chat gets that, you're cool.
I got it.
Gladys is cool.
It's the first
I said
time
anyone.
ever. Yeah. No.
Oh!
I'm in chat. Wait, no, I am in chat. Hold on. Hi, not ho. Flip that around. Hi ho.
All right. So it's been like the summer is like the time of year nobody really wants to be inside playing games. I mentioned I'm taking off next week to go to a zombie themed LARP, right? Like, so it's gonna be like survival in the middle of the night. One of the things about this live action roleplay is that when you check in as your character and you get to play whatever character you want, you have to sign up for an NPC shift. And so part of the NPC shift is like, oh, it's a zombie attack, and it's gonna be so nerdy and cool. But it's also gonna be camping. It's gonna get me out of the house and away from the computer. So it should be pretty exciting.
Get you away outside, bring it a little bit.
The graphics on that outside can't be beat. I'm telling you.
It's like the real world version of H1Z1.
So it is, but yeah, there's like
Just make sure you purchase something called sunblock.
you see this head? Yeah, I have sunburned on the top of my ears, on my head.
Oh.
Yeah. The tip of the ears one was the worst. That was when I got the 2nd-degree burn because I had like a blister form on the top of my ear. And that was because, you're doing the good thing, right? You're doing the sunblock and your face and your nose and your cheeks. And who the heck thinks to sunblock the tip of their ears?
I do, because I'm part Irish.
I
I have
absor-
delicate fair skin, and it burns us precious.
I absorb the sun and I turn into a lightly baked good.
Well, that's cool. But yeah, so it's the summertime. We expect that, in the week after that, people are going to be gone for the 4th of July weekend because the 4th of July, I think, is a Friday this week. So like, even if you have any sort of job that celebrates the holiday, it's like a built-in 3-day weekend. I'm stretching it out into 5.
Oh, lucky.
Yeah. Well, see, okay, so I'll explain what I'm doing now that I can talk a little bit about why Kai Lest is not here and talk a little bit about the theme of the show, which is community and MMOs. I make no secret of it, and though it probably comes across sometimes as obnoxious, that Warcraft is the MMO that I am still currently playing. I am looking forward to EverQuest Next because I don't really want to be playing Warcraft, but that's just what all of my friends are playing, and so that's the game I play. And that's important to me, that my friends are all playing this game, and it's like no one's really 100% like, oh, this game is awesome, this is great. If it wasn't for, no, they're playing the game because it's the only one that we can get everybody to play. It's the one common denominator. So I have this Warcraft guild, and it's called Seagoth, and it is based around the Seattle Gothic community. It's just like where I knew a lot of people from, and they started playing Warcraft, and we just all play on the server together. So our one of the members of that group of people, Jason, was one of our raid tanks, and just all around good guy. He passed away 3 weeks ago. Or no, excuse me. He passed away like 2 weeks ago. But he had gone into the hospital about 3 weeks ago. And Kai Lust flew back to Washington, and that's why she's not here, because she went to the memorial, which was last night. One of the themes of the show, being community that it is, was pretty awesome that before the family memorial with all of his relatives, the Seattle Gothic Guild came together and met at a restaurant to just like, come together in a time of grief and talk a little bit. We meet with one another, reconnect with one another on a real personal level that you don't get when you're playing MMOs, like talking with people in person. And it was really cool that one of the people there, knew that Jason was a friend of mine. And they didn't want me to feel like I was left out, because it was going to be about like 10 of them, and I couldn't be there. So what they did was, one of the guys had a cellular modem, right? It's basically it's a modem that he takes with him traveling, and it connects with the cell phone signal, and he can just connect it to his computer or whatever, and it's no data plan, no data caps. It's not super fast or anything, but it gets the job done. And he connected it inside the restaurant to a laptop that had Skype on it. So they had me on a webcam on the computer screen, all sitting down and having dinner with them. And that was just like, super cool. Like, we're all looking for, I think, though, that when we're playing video games, not just those heroic moments in like slaying dragons and doing all that epic legendary stuff that we read about, but also connecting with other people that are into the same things that we are and forming those bonds. So on 4th of July weekend, I'm driving back to Seattle for multiple reasons, but one of the reasons is that they're going to have a another service for my friend Jason. He must have been a pretty popular guy because they had a family memorial, they had a guild meetup, and then they're doing one with a group of friends that I've known since high school, who I know Jason basically since high school. So yeah, woo. I got through that without breaking up too much. But that does get us the opportunity to get into the main topic, which is communities and MMOs. I have a link that I will throw into chat because it talks a little bit about community in the EverQuest progression server. And Lucy, you're the one who found it, so why don't you introduce it to the crew?
Oh dear. Okay. I read it while I was half asleep, so this should be fun. So basically, I've recently been playing on the new EverQuest progression servers. It's a lot of fun. It's like basically stepping into my childhood, and I'm not going to name a year when I started playing. We're not doing that. We're not playing How Old is Lucy right now. But the answer is older than you think. And I stumbled upon this article that's basically like, okay, yes, the EverQuest progression servers or the EverQuest game itself was pretty hardcore. Like, here are the things that, like corpse runs and losing experience when you die, and it was harsh. But here are the things that it got right. And I think that the author made a lot of really good points, and most of those points centered around the fact that it was a game where you needed other people. It wasn't a solo game online where you saw other people. It was literally you needed other people to survive. You needed other people to create content, not to create content, but to get through the content and to achieve the things that you wanted to achieve. And because of that, the artist made the point that because you needed other people, you were less likely to be a dick to everybody around you. And I'm sorry to say it that way, but in a lot of games, especially I want to say competitive games, there's a very steep learning curve for people who don't know the game already, and you get a lot of lol, noob, L2 play, stuff like that, where you don't get that when you need another person to survive in a game.
Yeah, and that reminds me of the reason why I got into playing MMOs in the first place was that it was I had a built-in social group because I was working graveyard shift with like 3 or 4 other guys, all with military backgrounds, all with the same work schedule that I did. We were all single, so we would get off work and go home, and it was like everybody else was at work, and so we would play games together. And so that was like the it made playing an MMO easy because we had we knew what time we were going to be playing together. We knew what we were going to be playing together, and it made for a pretty easy experience. And then as we grew from there, it was like, well, I'm playing on my own because everybody else is doing their own thing, but I know what's expected of me. I know how to interact. So yeah, I never played EverQuest. The spirit of needing people to progress was definitely alive in Vanguard, which was what I ended up playing first. You could.
I'm sorry. Did Tanlin just say that Vanguard was his first MMO? Because I believe everybody should take a drink at this point.
Yeah, everybody take a drink. I don't know if I'm ever gonna stop bringing it up. So.
Oh, there goes my liver.
Flatus, what are you, instead of me like beating the dead horse, what did you do? How did you get into MMOs? What were your first experiences like? Was it social? Was it with friends?
It was with friends. I went over to a friend's wedding, and I was staying at their house for the wedding. And they were playing WoW,
and they were like, "Look at this Warcraft," and I was like, "I used to play Warcraft the RTS. I will take a look at this Warcraft MMO." I knew about it, and I've said many times on the show before that I've always was the guy it would go into like EB Games when that was still a thing before they were taken over by GameStop, and I would see the big EverQuest box and be like, "Oh, like there's elves on the cover." And I would be that guy who's like,
I don't think there were elves on the cover. I think there was one very particular elf that Flatus was probably staring at.
I was young. What do you want from me?
See, at least if Chewy was here, we would tease him that it was Kim Possible that got him into EverQuest.
It was. Really? Which is worse? Hormone-laden teenager? Disney cartoon.
I'm sorry, I really interrupted your story, Flatus. Keep going.
She has nothing. She's like, I want to apologize, but I don't even know what to say.
No, I'm just backing away slowly.
Probably best. And I always wanted to grab it. I didn't have the money to pay for a monthly fee. I worked part-time as a kid. I had to pay for a car. I paid my own bills. I did all that at a young age. So I didn't all my money was secured into not, console gaming because I could buy a game when it went on sale at GameStop and I trade some things in. I swap out into the game. Or I had StarCraft and the old Warcraft titles and Diablo. So I had all those titles. And I would play those. And I've always wanted to game MMOs. And I would watch my friends play EverQuest and I was like, ooh, and I couldn't do it. And then I watched them play Warcraft and they're like, come play Warcraft. And that was at a time where I could afford it. And I did it. And I played and it was great. And I jumped on their server. They played at different times. And they were kind of the ones that taught me like, just explore, just go and do. We don't want to, because they were higher level. They didn't want to, back then it wasn't as easy to level because it was still like the old drag out leveling process. So they kind of said like, you explore it. I met people in game. I met friends that I still talk to this day. And I learned how to play an MMO. I experienced, it was a world of awe and wonder. And it became very social because it took an element of, let me put it this way. Despite me being on the show and being very open and verbose and talking and ha 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 jaunty, in my personal life, I am very laid back, quiet. I keep to myself normally. I don't. When people talk sports ball at work, I am the one that's like, yeah, they did that thing. They're like, hey, did you see the Yankees game last night? They did the thing. They did it. They did it. They did it. They're like, usually I let them, yeah, and they're like, yeah, they won. It was a great game. They won. They put a lot of effort. They made a lot of big plays. I don't care what. If you say they made a lot of big plays, usually people nod and say, yeah, they did. A lot of big plays.
Yeah.
Can I interject really quick? I've never gotten into base ever because I think it's the most boring thing on the planet. But I actually saw a GIF the other day. No, I think it was today, of a pitcher throwing his pitch and the batter hits it and then the pitcher fucking catches it. He like snatches it out of the air and the batter I was like, did you just fucking catch that? And of course it's a GIF, so there's no sound, but you can read his lips. And the pitcher's like, yeah, I fucking did.
I think I know.
That was literally the only good clip of baseball I think you could ever show.
If you talk to a lot of people that watch sports games or go to sports games, other than hockey, I think people that watch hockey actually watch hockey because fights can break out. So it's like you get two sports in one. You get boxing and something, and then they're all on ice. So now it's boxing on ice with deadly blades attached to their feet. So I do that, and it's hard for me to connect with people. And I found it easier to connect with people in game. They're like, hey, did you do this quest, or do you want to run this dungeon? Have you seen it? And that's what got me into the lore, because people would talk about like, yo, dude, this boss is crazy. Like when people start telling me in game, like, dude, this guy like raises 20 zombies up, or did you go to, when the second expansion dropped, they're like, hey, did you go to Karzon? Did you go check out the haunted? Like, that's a whole ghost mansion that you can go into. I'm like, did you do the play? There's 3 different play. I'm like, what? There's like, that got me excited, and I got to talk to people about stuff that I was excited to talk about. And
it's hard. I still fight. I'm 30 years old. Just in case you didn't know, had a birthday this week. I'm now 30.
I was gonna save that to the end.
Oh, okay.
But that's cool. That's cool. Yes. Flatus, we were dodging the age question earlier. Flatus, though, he'll throw it out there. He just turned 30.
Yeah. So I'm no longer in my 20s. So now I'm in the group. Like, I wasn't
And
always
he's
the youngest.
still the youngest.
I wasn't until Chad left. When Chewie left, I was not the youngest.
We need to get someone so I'm not the oldest.
You can invite your dad on as a guest one time. Then it'll work out in everyone's favor.
Or my dad. He's kind of funny.
Everyone.
He's like the personification of a halfling.
Why have we not met him yet?
What?
Interesting.
I would like to see the personification of a halfling. I mean, besides my own personification, I've got I'm short. I've got the hairy feet.
Same. But I'm more dwarven than I think I am halfling or hobbit. Could be the beard. I don't know.
So,
but other than that, yeah. So other than that, like I said, I've met tons and tons of people doing that, and I'm assuming we'll have more. Like, I'll probably when we do our final thoughts, I have something else to say, but I will save it for our final thoughts section because I actually took time to write this out. So if I took time to write something out, yeah. So if I took time to write something out, usually I'm off the cuff, but I took time to write something out. I think it's important that I say it, and it needs to come from the heart. So what I wrote does come from the heart, and I don't want to veer too off track with it. So I will save it for final thoughts at the end of the show.
I read the article, and yeah, I think that it hits home on a lot of great points. That difficulty builds community, and I know that sometimes the argument against having things too difficult is that it's like you start like instead of actually going and exploring dungeons and stuff, you spend like the first hour prepping to get there, and then like you get halfway there, and then your healer is like, "Oh, dude, I gotta go," and then you're like, "Oh, now we've got to replace the healer before we ever make the journey to get to the dungeon to get down into it." And I kind of understand all of that. And I guess that's kind of, again, going back to the social, like one of the advantages is not having to have to look for people to join in with you. You just grab, your friends that are, you're going to be online, and you work through it that way.
I will say that World of Warcraft was not my drug of choice. I actually was a big EverQuest 2 player. And much like Flatus's story, I went to a party, and there were a bunch of my friends there, and they're all like, "Oh, why do you play that? You should come play World of Warcraft." And I'm like, "But I like my game. It's got all these cool things that your game doesn't." And they're all like, "Yeah, but we all play." And I'm like, "Good point."
See, in my group of friends, so after Vanguard launched, Lord of the Rings Online launched, and they were all like, "Screw this Vanguard game, it's broken, it's no fun. We're gonna go play Lord of the Rings." And they left me like to go play Lord of the Rings. And then after Lord of the Rings, they're like, "We're not gonna go back to Vanguard. We're gonna go back to Warcraft." And I stuck it out as long as I could. I played that game for like a year after it came out before I was like, "Well, there's no one. I can make awesome stuff. I'm this awesome crafter. Let me make something for you." There was no one to make anything for. So yeah, same sort of experience. And then that's why all my friends had gotten to Warcraft. So I was like, "Okay, guys, what are we doing?"
The funny thing is that I stayed in World of Warcraft far longer than the game was fun because of the people who played.
I'm still playing it, and I don't think it's that fun because of that.
But it's the community that kept me there, if that makes sense. It was the friends that I made. It was the achievements that we had done together. It was the stories we had together. And I didn't want to see that end. But at the same time, I'm like, I am not having fun anymore. This is like a job.
Yeah, same. And that was hard. That was like that's one of the hardest things when you sit there and tell a group of anywhere between 50 to 40 to 500 people are like, I love you. You're great. It's not you. It's me. It's like breaking up with somebody. You don't want to do it.
I've already pre-warned.
Sometimes you really do want to do it. Just saying.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Sometimes you don't need to get involved with other things. You just try other stuff.
When my friend talked me into coming back to play Warcraft again, and we're starting out this guild that's like it's just over a year old. I told him, because I was doing EverCast at the time, I'm like, I'm letting you know right now, EverQuest launches, I'm gone. Peace. You know, I will hold a spot. You know, I'll hold a spot for you. We'll have good times together. Just not in this game anymore. I'm leaving. I'm out.
And I have to say that about with World of Warcraft, a lot of that, you know, they had a 3 million follower come back and then they lost 3 million people, and those are the people that will always show up if the expansion interests them, piques their interest enough for them to buy the store copy, play until they've saw the lore, they saw the story, and that's it. The people that stay are there because of the community, the friendships, the guilds that they're in. So when a lot of people, like a lot of the people on the internet say, "Oh, it's the end of WoW," and I don't look at it. Sometimes I don't look at it like a business, but a club, like a club that you may have to pay $14.99 to be at, like a community pool or something like that. But
or like a club with a cover charge.
Well, see, and that reminds me that when Sony, now Daybreak, when they did their all access one price for subscription to all their games, this was like I knew that I could sell that concept to my friends on the concept that it's like membership at a club. Like, you might go and play Racquetball, you might go and play EverQuest 2, but your membership at Daybreak is good for all of their games. So if you want to try something new, like PlanetSide 2 or Landmark or H1Z1, all of those are there for you. But I don't know if they're going to keep with that going forward and moving ahead.
it's always a big question.
Yeah, because
what do they do?
I like the idea, but it sounds like they might have some thoughts about changing away from free to play on all their games, because they've said as much. I don't know where exactly that quote is, but I know that it's come up. Terry Michaels, I think, in the Q&A after the buyout by Carthage Novos, Columbus Novos. Somebody help me out here. Anyway, after they got bought out, I think it was during the QA that Terry had said that they were going to reserve that whole free-to-play thing back a little bit and let us know when they knew more. So
it's been quiet over yonder.
Here. Hi, Daybreak.
I just feel like they're hiding.
Yeah, right. It's like, hi, Daybreak. We're still here. Could you maybe talk a little bit more about EverQuest Next? Because we'd love to hear about it. We really would. Like, we just gobble that up. Nom.
The sad thing is that I actually went back and I watched the unveiling or the opening of the black box video again with Terry, and how he opened the door and everybody's working on the game, and Steve Klug is there looking much more rested than he does now, I should say. But Steve Klug was there, and he's talking about how he's really excited about how far the game has come and how much progress they're made on it. I'm like, where game?
Yep.
I like game.
I love games. So, all right, rather than beating that horse, Flatus, do you want to wait until the very, very end, or do you want to talk about E3, or do you want to talk about what you had written down and then talk about E3, or would you rather, how would you like to do this? Because, hey, guess what? E3 happened. It was huge.
Let's talk about E3 and then get our thoughts about E3.
All right.
We'll do that.
Here is my takeaway from E3. It was not the year of the co-op multiplayer. It was at least on the major big, the big companies doing their big deal. Fallout, they said no multiplayer, so it's going to be a solo player RPG. But, I mean, Fallout 4, it looks wonderful, it looks awesome, but still, come on. Battlefront, for is it BioWare that's doing Battlefront? I forget, but Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront looks amazing. It looks like you'll be able to have real, lightsaber shootouts with blasters and the whole 9 yards, but it's not a... What do you guys think? Is that a true co-op experience? Because you might be working with your team of your friends in a team working up against their... But there's not really... Not a whole lot of... Anyway,
I will say this. I never felt like Battlegrounds in World of Warcraft was a co-op experience. So I think it's very rare that people will have that group that go in and play those sorts of things. And I think it's awesome when you do. I remember, I think 1 or 2 times that some people that I knew got together with me and we did things like that. And it was so much fun because there was that teamwork and there was that feeling like you weren't all alone against all of them. But I don't think that regularly happens unless you really, really work at it.
I love playing a healer in Battlegrounds with friends because you get to watch them around. You get to watch them run around, and you basically turn them into a raid boss because until they figure out that you're healing that one person, they're damn near indestructible, and they just go around on a rampage, killing things. So I have done like guild events where we're doing Battlegrounds together, but you're right, it is the rare part of games. And then like I've played other MMOs where like that type of battleground doesn't even exist.
I will tell you one thing about what you just said. I also enjoy playing the healer. It's just any time ever, basically. But I also liked doing it in PvP because I felt like I didn't necessarily have to face roll other people. I could just be support for my own team and still PvP that way. And on my server, at least, I'm going to say that the Horde was much better at playing Find the Healer than the Alliance was. Because I always died. Because my team didn't seem to understand my importance.
There was a whole backlash around that add-on. Who's the healer? Kill the healer. Healers must die. I think I forget the name of the add-on, but it would put like a red cross plus sign over the top of the healers' heads on your interface, and it would be like, oh, you just you find the guy that's casting the heals and you wreck him. So yeah, Flatus, what's your take? How co-op? How social of an experience are the versus games, the shooter clans and Battlegrounds?
Console. You may not see it because it's over there off camera. I'm not going to go grab it to show you guys, but I have a PlayStation 4. And I do have some co-op games. I do, not a lot, but I do have some. I have Mortal Kombat. That's a co-op fighting game. I did have...
Whoa. Mortal Kombat is co-op?
Yeah, you can play it on the couch and online.
Wait,
2-person co-op.
Really? I didn't know that it was cooperative. I thought it was versus.
Is there a mode? There may be a mode. I haven't found it yet. There are some modes that are co-op. I believe there is. There is not. I haven't explored all the modes. I just like the part where I beat somebody and then rip their head off. Which is the most annoying. That's
what Mortal Kombat is.
This is what Mortal Kombat is. But I have other games, like I have Guacamelee, which is a indie title, which is a lot of fun if you're into like Metroidvania type games.
I love guacamole.
I hate avocados.
I have.
I don't like avocados, but come on, guacamole. When you pair it with salsa, a little bit of sour cream, and find a tortilla chip somewhere underneath all that stuff.
Oh, I don't want guacamole.
That's the texture of green snot. Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's pretty like avocado-y mashed potatoes.
Anyway, we got
Yeah.
distracted with avocados.
That's a first for this show.
I don't think it is.
Have we gotten distracted with avocados before?
I don't know.
Maybe with fruit before. Let's generalize a little bit bigger.
EverCast, getting distracted with fruits. Don't take that out of context. Let's move on.
Well, now that you said it that way.
Well, we strive on the internet. If I didn't say it, internet would have just had their way with it.
Oh, not touching that with it.
But yeah, but not all right. Besides my console, even in shooters, even on games like Counter-Strike, like I would play with Tobrin and his gaming group of friends, and we would co-op into Counter-Strike, and it makes for a better experience. When you play with people you don't know in those shooters, people are usually yelling at somebody, especially if you play with a bunch of strangers. You'll hear people say, "Why didn't you do this?" or "Why didn't you do that?" And I don't like that. If we lose, I'd rather lose as a team and laugh about it than lose and have somebody be actually angry at my performance if I'm not on my game, or if I just chose to load up the game and unwind after work. I may not be on the ball at that moment. I may be just sitting down wanting to play some multiplayer and not think about the world, and that happens sometimes where you want to just sit down and zone out and play some multiplayer, and it happens, and sometimes my friends aren't available. So you do those things, and there's good and bad with everything. So in shooters like Call of Duty, or pick anything like Team Fortress, or the new up and coming one that's coming from Blizzard,
Overwatch.
Thank you. It's important to go in with the ability to make friends, right? Like, you know, I don't not hit it yet, saving it. We'll get there. But to stay on this, what I saw out of E3 was that they put a big emphasis, and it happens. Some E3s are a big emphasis on shooters, MMOs. It just depends on the E3 that year. It could be and it depends on the news you saw and the news you watched. Like, I watched a lot of Sony stuff. So the big news for me was the remake of Final Fantasy VII. That's huge news. Everybody that's been a Final Fantasy fan wanted a remake of Final Fantasy VII. It's like for PlayStation 3, for Vita, for anytime there was like, can we get it? Can we get it now, please? It's time. And now I'm excited because now in a high def, completely remake version, I'm hoping that I get to actually see the scene where Cloud Strife cross dresses to get information out of somebody. And I was like, I can't wait for that to be in a fully rendered 3D environment. Because that would be hilarious.
But Final Fantasy VII is a solo player RPG.
So, and it is a solo player RPG, and that was some of the news that I got. But there were some multiplayer games out there. There was the one where you could be Vikings or ninjas, and that was like a melee MMO sort of combat game. There's a new MMO, a vehicle destruction game coming out called Car Post or something like that, where reminds me of Twisted Metal in a sense, but like on a massive scale. I think that's kind of cool, like especially with like the whole Mad Max that just came out. Like that could be really big, you know, like if they make it like very Mad Road Warrior-esque Mad Max, where it's like very 80s in this car style and stuff like that. Sure. The only thing I ask is that I can have the big car with the speakers and the guy with the flamethrower playing guitar. That's all I want. I want the bard with I want that guy. I think, but
I'm just saying that you were like, I'm getting excited about looking at crossdresser. At a crossdresser.
It's really hilarious.
I'm not judging. Yeah, so I watched most of the Bethesda reveal, and like their three big titles, at least the ones that I watched and said, oh, these are their big titles. Doom, Dishonored, and Fallout 4. So solo player RPG, and versus shooter is a first person shooter. I mean, Doom is the first person shooter. Actually, well, was it Castle Wolfenstein or Doom? I forget which one came out first, but it's one of those two.
I believe Doom came out first, then Wolfenstein.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a little. I'm waiting for I mean, like, I'm already looking forward to E3 next year because nothing that came out of E3 this year was really exciting to me. I either already knew about it or it's just like not a game that I am going to be into for whatever reason.
And that happens a lot at E3, and I hate to say that, but E3 is a big. It used to be that, like, let's say Talon and I and Kyle and Lucy could have been at some point the ability to go to E3 and be like, "Hi, we're internet radio, and we would like passes to E3 so we can cover it for our show." And they'd be graciously, "Come on in. There's a show floor." They don't have that anymore. It's all by appointment. E3 has changed a lot through the years. Now it's big conferences. You have to be invited, which kind of sucks. I would like to go to E3. But I'm also
I think if you need us to bluff our way into E3, you should let Kai and I do the talking. Because I think we can pull off Sassy way better than Flatus.
Yeah, if I'm walking up...
We're kind of a big deal.
Yeah, if I'm walking up like I look like the kid from Up, and I'm just like, "Hi! I like video games. I want to go inside that." They're just like, "You need to go away."
I could pull out the Ron Burgundy line. Like, I'm big in Japan.
Yeah, I'm huge. Listen, I have many leather-bound books.
All right. So technology-wise, though, the E3 reveal showed me a little bit about the HoloLens and the realm of virtual reality and augmented reality. I am so looking forward to augmented reality games. Not so much virtual reality games, but like I just said at the beginning of the show, that like I'm going to a LARP next weekend. I'm waiting for sign me up to be a patron of the first augmented reality LARP. Everybody wears their headset or carries around their device. I know that Ingress is an augmented reality game where you go around to real world locations and you scan them for portals. And I have that on my phone, but I want like some real role-playing game type potential. And I think that the HoloLens is going to be one of those technologies that delivers it. Then virtual reality, I'm not super into virtual reality, but being able to have a virtual spaceship where if I turn and look over my shoulder, like my view goes with me, is going to be awesome. But I don't know if I'm going to be so... I don't know how much into that I'm going to.
I have to say this though, in the group of community, Gigantic, which is a game I've been following since they announced it last year.
Yeah, Gigantic.
They did their big E3 trailer. It's going to be on Xbox One as well as PC. The game looks gorgeous. It is beautiful. It looks interesting. To me, it almost looks like they took the MOBA genre and said, let's take the MOBA genre and mix it with like group combat play of like a Team Fortress sort of style, like third person. But they made it third person in that sense. But where it was like it's group play, but there's more to it, and the game looks beautiful. And if you haven't seen Gigantic, go look up Gigantic. It looks gorgeous. If you do like playing MOBAs, if you don't, check it out anyway. You may like it. But I do think that the game looks very pretty, and I think that is going to hopefully, and this is from a console owner as well as a PC owner, I do like enjoying seeing more free-to-play titles coming out that are coming out on the PlayStation and Xbox One. I think that I think we're starting to see where we could say maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years ago, PC master race, PCs will always beat out power-wise over the consoles, right? but I think as we start to go forward with the Steam machines, then this name confuses me, but living room PCs, which is now a thing apparently, and or PC consoles. That's a new thing too. I think we're gonna start seeing a crossover of what is there going to be a master race anymore? I think there is. If you physically build your own PC, your machine's going to be more powerful than the one I may get from Alienware that sits in my living room. But at the end of the day, what does that matter when we can all play the same games?
Exactly. I'm all for like the power of the PC is that it's allows you to play with more people. Because, and I say that because 10 years ago, people were playing MMOs online, but consoles you had almost no online connectivity at all, and they've slowly added that with Xbox Live. But if for the longest time you had to pay for Xbox Live, and then like who wants to pay, an internet and then a game subscription and then an Xbox Live subscription, and then so it's like no. So, but I do see the advantages of having a all-in-one box that is built and ready to go and play games as it is. Because let me tell you, I bought some hardware improvements for my computer 2 weeks ago. I had some problems with it last weekend. I had to reformat my hard drive last night to be ready for the show today. Today, I had all sorts of problems that I managed to get through, but at the same time, wouldn't it be nice just to be like, I have X amount of money, I want a video game box and throw it down. And that also gives, I'm also a parent. And to be able to be like, here's your Xbox, you can't break it. If you break it, I'll blame Microsoft. If you break your PlayStation, I'll blame Sony because they built a device that could be broken. But if you break your laptop, what did you download? It's like
well, unless your kid's into hacking, then
hey, right. And if he's hacking, he should tell me how to fix my computer instead of the other way around. Because really, I don't care. As he breaks his thing hacking around with it, that means that I can probably ask him to fix the things that I break. But until that happens, I have to play tech support, and I'm okay with it for the most part. But I love the simplicity of here's your Kindle. It's not a laptop, but it's got a lot of the same possibilities as a laptop. But if you break it, like, I'll blame somebody else. I won't necessarily blame you for downloading the wrong things or going to the wrong websites or installing the wrong programs. I'm not going to hold that on you. So that's my little spiel about PCs and consoles. I totally understand consoles. I would love to see them evolve more. But until they do, I'll just stick with my multi-screen PC setup over here.
Agreed. Like I said, I think like Blacklight Retribution is on PlayStation 4. I was like, you know what? That's a shooter. It's like Call of Duty. I don't want to buy Call of Duty. It's the same game every time. I don't feel like spending the money. I was like, I'll download Retribution. It's free. What does it cost? Nothing. I just download it. If I don't like it, I delete it. Big whoop. And I did that. It was fun. It was decent. It's not great, but it was free. It didn't cost me anything, and that was something I do on my PlayStation. Now I have limited space because I haven't figured out my whole hard drive situation. I got to send that other one out. But I'm limited on space, so I have Final Fantasy installed. I have to make sure that I have enough space to do things like running certain little things and like make sure that I can record the show next week. So I gotta make sure I got space on this thing. So I choose very specifically what I put on my PC at the moment. But I think that as we start looking at where gaming's going, I hope to see where we went from not having a lot of online play in the old 8-bit, 16-bit days of long past days and many moons, where me and my brother would play Mario and he would be Luigi, or vice versa.
So obviously he's the younger brother.
He is, yeah, he is, and he's slightly taller than me, just slightly enough for me to be a Mario and him to be Luigi. It looks
that's
like
actually creepily the same for me and my sister. My sister is just a tiny little bit taller than me.
Really? Oh, see,
my brother is 2 inches taller than me, but he's old. I'm the younger. But I remind him because I'm the shorter one. Like he tries to call me his little brother. I'm like, I'm shorter, but I'm not your little brother. Hate that.
Word. As we move forward, like, and look at the old days, PlayStation 2 to play EverQuest. Was it Worlds? I may have that wrong. Their PlayStation had their own EverQuest game, so they had their own
Online adventures.
Yeah, online adventures. Thank you. They had theirs. Dreamcast had Phantasy Star Online. If you still own a Dreamcast, if you turn it around, there is a port back there that it used to connect to the internet with. And it was the early days, and that's how people. And then you could play. That was an MMO that you could play on a console back then. And then you move forward, and then you have Final Fantasy XI that was on PlayStation 2 and Xbox 360, and that's unfortunately closing next year in March. So if you still have it, go ahead and play it on consoles. And then now here we are today. Final Fantasy 14 is on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3 and PC. We have tons of online gaming. We have it is the cornerstone of gaming now. Does the game have single player or online? Most games do have online accessibility. Do they have co-op? Are you against one player, or are you working with one another? So community has changed, I think, greatly, where it was you were the person going to the arcade, and that was your community. Physically, your community in gaming world is going to the arcade with a roll of a 20, buying a crap load of quarters, sticking them on the Street Fighter machine, and say, "Who's next?" That was gaming for you, and that was your community. We've gone the ability to grow past that.
We ask about the Division.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. I'm not looking forward to it as much because the online third-person shooter MMO that I played, Defiance, it was cool and all, but I don't necessarily knew if it was my thing. But again, I'm one of those people that is easily swayed by what my friends are playing. Like I'll play just about anything just to be like, "Hey, dude, what's going on? How you doing?" That sort of, social interaction going on at the same time while I'm playing a game.
Same. I don't know. It's very strange. Like in something like, I'll bring up Dark Souls or Bloodborne, where there is an online co-op mode for it, right? But if you're not, you could still like see like these ghosts, or these, like, if somebody is in the same area, and you can kind of see their ghost fighting monsters. They won't see the monster, you just see them fighting, battling. And I always found that interesting, that they have that, so you can kind of see them. You know that they're there, and if you really wanted to co-op with somebody, you could. But something like The Division, it looks great. Don't get me wrong, the game looks gorgeous. I've never been big into Tom Clancy games, so there is a beta. If I can get in that, I'll give it a shot, and then I can let you know from there.
Yeah, I sign up for a lot of beta invites, and I'll just put it out there that if I'm accepted into a closed beta, I feel kind of obligated to I at least gotta try it out and see what's going on. Even if I can't ever get into it, at least I'll send them the crash report and be like, "Nope, couldn't load it. Sorry." All right, Flash, we're at the last 5 minutes of the show tonight.
Hi.
I clear the floor. You wrote stuff down.
I did. All right. Usually we do a final thoughts and everything. I'm pretty sure we'll still do that. I'm pretty sure. I think my co-hosts may have something to add to this, and I will not put them on the spot after what I say. They can agree. They can remain silent. They can have something completely opposite of what I have to say. What I have to say is that I've been doing radio/internet radio now since my early 20s. I did a radio show at FAU, Florida Atlantic University, with my friend, and it was called The Beauty of What You Call Noise. And we played music from both Japan and metal and local bands. We did all that. And if you're a Between the Buried and Me fan, you'll know that reference because it's from one of their songs. We did that. There may be episodes out there somewhere lurking on the internet, and you could listen to me there if you find it. If you don't, that's not a big deal. But this message is from my heart, and having been fortunate enough, and for me, I've got to meet a lot of amazing people. In radio, I got to go to a lot of local shows and meet a lot of bands and hang out with them and talk to them before they even got a chance to be famous. Any of you out there that listen to A Day to Remember, they were from Ocala, Florida. I went to every show, day one, like one of the first shows in West Palm. I was there. I listened to a lot of those guys. I got to hang out with them and talk to them, and then that came over to gaming, talking to devs on Twitter. Dave Mark, who used to work on EverQuest Next for the AI, used to come into our chat and watch our show early on. I would talk to him on Twitter about a lot of the concept of AI, where I felt the AI in EverQuest Next was going was more of, do you choose to save one person or do you save the masses by switching? Like it was the old train track. Do you pull the switch and like save that one person on the track, or do you pull but killing everyone else, or do you not pull the switch and the other person dies and everyone else is fine? And that's some of the stuff I got to talk about. It's things I could have never done not doing this show, not doing internet radio, podcast, if you will. The most important thing is brought to me, and it doesn't matter if you play Warcraft, Star Wars, EverQuest, Final Fantasy, any of those, any online game. In a society that still looks down on video games, there are a lot, there's violence, you're a nerd, you play, why don't you go outside? Not a lot of people outside get me. I said that earlier. Like at work, and they don't. But people online do. And in these communities, you can simply say, I play WoW. I play EverQuest. I play Final Fantasy. I play Dragon Ball Z Online. If that is your game, you can talk to somebody about that, and that's hours of conversation, something you normally can't get outside. Yeah, I can hold, and it's not that I'm not personable. I can talk to somebody. I can have a conversation with somebody, but talking about sports isn't my forte. Talking about, what's good on television is not always my forte. I may not watch all the shows that are out. I may catch them later on Netflix a year later, and I may like, you want to talk about the first season of Breaking Bad? That's me. But when it comes to that, you can easily say Alliance or Horde. Did you get your Epic 1.0? Have you ran the Crystal Tower? And then you have hours of things to talk about. I think that's great. And those are shared experiences. And online, there are a lot of people like me. And you can go to these real world events to go meet them. Your guild mates, your friends, people that you've never seen their face before. BlizzCon, Final Fantasy Fan Fest, the now defunct, but hopefully we'll see something new in the future, SOE Live. These were places where you can go meet your friends and put a face to the name, run up, glomp them if you know that term. If not, gigantic hug. You could say Norm, and if you get that reference, cool. If you don't get that reference, go watch Cheers. Or replace that with any nerd event, PAX, Dragon Con, anything that your heart desires. If it's board games, it's board games. If it's social, it's gaming online, go do that. But you meet these people and you do these events so you can go meet them. And it's family. And that's what a family is to me. It's that you share these common great things together, these same interests. And sure, there's drama. Sure, families have squabbles. Your guild don't always see my guild doesn't see eye to eye with your guild. It happens. But we're all nerds at the end of the day, right? We're geeks, we're nerds, we're proud. We are proud to wear this. I am on a weekly show that says I am proud to be a nerd. And I feel like podcasting has allowed me to take this to a weekly meetup, right? I didn't get to go to SOE Live. My co-hosts have gotten there twice. I've yet to meet Tamlin and Kylos, but this is my SOE Live every week. I've not, and this is all I get. It's the same with the people in chat. I've not gotten to meet Legendary Notoxin, but I've talked to him. I've done different podcasts with him. I've guested on his shows. Those are my meetups. These are the things that I get to do, which is so cool. Things I've never could have done before, doing a show. My point with all of this is that at the end of the day, we are people. We're intelligent people with opinions in a volatile gaming culture. And I hate to say that, but we are in a volatile gaming culture. No matter your race, your religion, your gender, your finances, etc., it doesn't matter. We are people and we should be treated as such. Respect each other's views, respect each other's opinions, and just respect each other. At the end of the day, we do one thing: have fun and game. And if you can't do that, what's the point of doing this hobby that we all love, right? Like, if you can't get together and go run a dungeon, roll some dice, role play, fight the dragon, shoot somebody on the other opposing team, and still laugh about it to this day because that won the game by 1 point. There's no community. There's no friends, and online gaming is dead. So take that with stride, respect each other, love each other, and game on. Now, with that said, I will leave that to my co-hosts if they want to add or say anything.
No.
You guys on the spot after that.
No, it's cool. Yeah, it's big community outreach, and it's funny is because I was thinking that after E3 last year we had a big community show too. And I think I've even mentioned on the show tonight, like I will play what my friends are playing because sometimes I just want to, like, we just want to all hang out together. What we're like, and I go back to like the reason we first got, like, you guys were talking about your first consoles, we got a Super Nintendo system, and we got that thing taken away from us so many times because if we were playing a versus games, it would cause my brothers and my cousins, or not my brothers, but my brother and my cousins and we would fight amongst each other if we were fighting against each other, and my parents were just like, "That's it, you're done, no more of that." And so I think that it was that interaction that drove me into playing cooperative experiences, building experiences. What can we do together? And that's what I look for in games. Is it like, well, what type of, what are we building together, or what are we fighting against together? What are we doing together is the thing that I look for the most. Not, the story actually matters to me to a degree, but not as much as like the social interaction part, because even if it's a great story, it's still right in there with books and movies, and I would rather be playing a game with friends than doing either of those two activities. All right, I will go.
I will say that what Talon just said hits very close to home, because the reason that my father was my first DM is because my sister and I fought so much over versus game, like board game, Monopoly. I will flip the board game today, I swear to God. But my dad introduced Dungeons and Dragons into our lives because we had to work together to survive. And I think that's probably the biggest lesson I have ever taken out of gaming. And that's probably why to this day I don't like competitive gaming. I don't think it's fun because I get way too into it. I get way too competitive. And when I fail, I hate it. And even when I win, it doesn't have the same feeling as when you can say, for example, when I can say, "Oh my God, remember that time that I actually won that battleground?" Versus, "Oh my God, do you remember that time where in Guild Wars 2 we just spent the like 3 hours picking up chickens and just throwing them at people? Do you remember that and how funny that was?" Not like actual people, like NPCs. But there is always a way better story to tell when you were having fun with your friends and doing something together because you wanted to be together than "I won a battleground," or I achieved this score in PvP, or even "I got this raid drop." Unless you were doing it with friends, it probably didn't stay in your memory. And I just want to say that I love my computer because my friends live in here. So I get it, and I totally agree. I feel like we should all just be far nicer to each other because the community is more than the game. It makes the game.
Absolutely. So I think with that,
I
I don't think I got anything to add to that.
I don't either. I'm ready to wrap up the show. I just want to close out with two quick things not related to anything else. And that is that I was on Theory Forge as a guest last Friday. Before I sign off from the computer, I will throw a link into that. it's a good video to watch because the person that they interviewed, Paul Furio, from Sync Build Run Games, is talking about his next game, VNext, which is an episodic player game, episodic role-playing game. Basically, they're going to do like a 30-minute to an hour-long gameplay experience every hour. I think that it was really, really interesting. So I will throw the link there before I leave. And the other thing is that it's Father's Day. If you are a father or know a father or have a father, you should probably say thanks or say hi. And with that said, like that, I was texting. It was my daughter texting me. She wants to call.
That means we gotta go.
No, hey, we will. I told her what was up, and so when we wrap it up, I'll give her a call.
Also, real quick, Heaven's Word, the early access started this weekend, and if you are playing, Fitorion just is create a new character on FanFree. It's the server I play on. Kyless is also on that server. If you'd like to join us, if you're interested in playing, the game's now on Mac. So if you have a Mac and that's how you game because you play WoW and you're hoping EverQuest hops over to the Mac side, then go get it and come join us. We will play games together.
And whoever wants to camp us out.
I'll do it.
All right.
All right.
So basically, thanks for coming and watching EverCast. We're a weekly show every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Follow us on Twitter. All of our names are down here. Follow us on YouTube. Give us a like. All that stuff. What?
Our names aren't down here.
Down there
They're not down there today.
Usually they're down there. If you're watching this on YouTube or just check an episode before or an episode after, it'll be fine. Our names will be there. But follow us on YouTube, follow us on Stitcher, we're on iTunes, give us likes, thumbs up, everything like that. We do this so that we can connect with you guys and talk about gaming because we love it too. So thank you for watching, and that's it for tonight. Camping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.